Okay, so I'm going to show everyone how to set up a conditional free agent claim. I'm just going to use this other league that I'm in because it'll function better at the moment. So this is the home screen. Go to players and just pick out some players. So there's, I guess, a couple of different approaches you can take. Um, Number one, I guess it's the simplest. You just click on everyone that you want and put in a dollar value. So, Senzatella here, you click on the green plus. In this league, the minimum is $1 million. So, you're just going to type 1 million over there and hit submit now. This will become effective on the first day of the season, blah, blah, blah. Just hit submit there. Waiting for resolution. This particular league awards all the free agents on Mondays, but we will be set up to award them Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. after the last games of the night have started already. Anyway, click on OK, and then I also want Kipnis. Let's go $1 million again there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is sort of way number one that you can make a list of people that you want. Submit now. And then in transactions, go to pending transactions. And you can see all the stuff that you've done. So the top half is sort of your work area, the things that you've put in. The bottom half, you'll have visibility into what everyone else is doing as well. So everyone can see all the bids that everyone has pending. So you can see the 3 that I've put in here, the highest bid, and then I show as the highest bidder. And then the person who's running the Houston team has a bid in for Melvin at Dawn. So I guess that was way number one. You could just make a list of all the players and what you want to bid on them. And then it'll show up down here and everyone will be able to see this. Now, let's say you were just after one starting pitcher. For an example, you could group them. So Senzatella and Stratton are both starting pitchers. So you can make a group number 2 where you can put just starting pitchers in it. So Senzatella is the first priority. This stands for priority. Senzatella is the first priority of group 2. And Stratton is the second priority. Now, like I said, if you only wanted one starting pitcher, you could make this list 10, 20, 30 starting pitchers long, but you only want one. In our case, you might make it 20 names long and you only want 5 of them or whatever. So you set that up here, whereas group 1, there's a max of 99. So if you had a group of 99 players, I guess is the max you can put in one group, and you wanted all of them. So I want everyone that's in group 1, you would just leave it at 99. If you only want one starting pitcher from group 2, it will go in order, try and get you Senzatella first, and failing that, if you don't get him, it'll go to your second one. But to tell it that you only want one player from that group, you're going to set it up so that group 2 is a maximum of 1. So again, you made changes, you want to submit down here. Don't leave the screen without submitting or else it won't stick. Back to the player screen. Let's say I want to, someone else piques my interest, another starting pitcher. Also, you can use all these filters up here to help make your groups too. So this one way you can look at stuff. I just want to see the starting pitchers. I want to use the stats from last year, so 2019 regular season. And what else can we do? fantrax stats. That was already set. It doesn't look right to me. Starting pitchers from last year. Oh yeah, sorry, I'm in the wrong league. That's why these categories aren't looking familiar to me. This is the stats that the other league uses. That's why I got confused. But if you want to sort them, like I want a pitcher gets a lot of strikeouts. Starting pitchers from last year who got the most strikeouts. Tommy Malone. Okay, I'll add him on there again. $1 million is the minimum in this league. Submit now. And when I go back to pending transactions, Tommy Malone should be on there. And he went right into the last group. So if you want to keep him in that list of starting pitchers, just give me one from group 2. Group 2 is this starting pitcher group I set up. It looks like it put him in that same group. If you want him in a different category altogether, no, I want to try for Tommy Malone on a separate sort of deal. And just put him in another group and click submit over there. And then you're good. So in this setup here, you only have one player in group 1. It's Kipnis. It's going to try and get him for $1 million. It'll be yay or nay. In group 2, you have 2 starting pitchers, and you have up here group 2 set for just one player out of that group that you want. So it'll try for Senzatella first, and if someone outbids you on him, then it'll try for Stratton. If you win the bid for Senzatella, it'll just ignore Stratton because you've already got the one player from that group that you wanted. So one thing I can't stress enough is to not erase any of your bids. You can, if you change your mind, you can check delete and hit submit, and it'll take that person off. You can also, if you have a change of heart, maybe you want to offer Senzatella $1.5 million. You can just change it in here and again hit submit. So now you're telling it, I want one pitcher from group 2. I want to try for Senzatella for $1.5 million. If I don't get him, then try for Stratton at 2. But it's important, and I'll show you why you should not delete any. If you go to this screen, the pending transaction screen, and see that someone else has outbid you for someone, it's important that you, if you still want that person, don't delete it from your pending transactions, and I'll show you why. So Houston Asterix has a bid on Melvin Adon, right, for $1 million. So if I go to the players screen, and I search for Adon. Okay, so I'm gonna put in a bid, or I'm gonna put in for a bid for Adon for $1.5 million. 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the pending transaction screen and put Adon in group 2 with these other starting pitchers. And hit submit. Okay, now so Adon is in my group 2 of starting pitchers, and I've bid $1.5 million on him. So now on the pending screen that you'll be able to see, only I can see the stuff that I've got going on for my team, but you'll be able to see this bottom part. Now you see, if you were just come to the screen, it looks like I'm the highest bidder for Adon. So the Houston Asterix used to be the high bidder with $1 million. And if they were to come to this screen, it would look like I'm trying to outbid them 1.5 million for a Don. Now, what they don't know is my bid for a Don will only go in if I fail on getting Sensatella and Stratton, because I have this maximum of one for Group 2. So, if the Houston Asterix see this, they might think, oh, I got to up my bid on a Don or else I'm going to lose them to the Red Sox. That may not necessarily be true. And you also, if you're the Houston team, you don't want to go into your pending transactions and like, well, Boston outbid me on a Don, so I'm just going to delete it and get rid of it. You should leave it in there because of these conditions that you can set. Um, Melvin Adon might be at the top of your list, or the only one in his group, like Hitness is for in this situation. And my bid of 1.5 million for Adon may end up falling through because I get one of these two guys first. Know what I mean? So if you see that you're not the high bidder, you still want to stick with your plan up here on what you have in mind in terms of players you want. Someone else might go in and make their list 10 people long and say, I only want 5 starting pitchers. If a Don is the 6th person on their list, but they bid $4 million, but they get all 5 of their first 5 choices, then their bid for $6 million on a Don is never going to get registered. So it's worth my while to leave him there because they might get all 5 of their guys, and I might not get any of these 2. So it's going to fall to a Don, and a Don will fall to me for $1.5 million in this case. If you want, I think this, if you grab these, you can move the players around. So, like, I'm going to move them up the priority list in this group. And that's just an easy way to do that. Slide those players around. What you might want to do when the auction ends is start making groups of players and then decide how many you want. So, in my case, let's say you need a catcher, so let's filter by all the catchers. And here's the available ones. Maybe I want to look at these are the projected stats that Fantrax has come up for this upcoming season. Maybe in this particular league, it's a categories league. So let's say I didn't do very well last year in home runs, and I need a catcher. So what I could do is go to last year's stats, filter by all the catchers, sort by home runs. And so based on last year's stats, here are some of my better choices to go for in terms of adding a catcher and helping my home run category. In our league, you want to sort by, I don't know, you can sort by whatever you want, but like last year's stats, you probably want to go by your point totals because individual stat, like you don't have to score high in categories. You don't have to score high in triples or reduce your number of strikeouts, that kind of deal. You just have to get points. So with us using a point system of 0.25 points per basis, points are points. It doesn't matter if your guy hits a double or if your guy hits a single and steals second base. It's worth the same thing. He got the second base in both cases, so they're worth the same amount of points. Anyway, so let's say I need a catcher, and I'm going to just drill off. If this was our league, I would sort it by the points probably because it's all that kind of really matters. Just a note, if you're on the projection screen, which is the first one that usually pops up, that's what Fantrax is projecting that they're going to get this year. In our league, way over to the right, there's a fielding points category. Fantrax isn't able to project those. I don't know. They don't have the numbers to do it, so everyone is projected to get 0 points on fielding. Obviously, that's not going to be true, so it may be worth your while to sort players by what they did last season, because then Fantrax will be, when you go over to the right, Fantrax will be able to tell you how many fielding points they got last year. I think Ria Milto was way far and above all the other catchers in fielding points last year because he threw out like half of the potential base stealers, which is insane. Um, but anyway, I think I would recommend sorting by the points in our league. So let's just say score here, for example. So I want to add two catchers, let's say, to my team. So I'm going to make a list of however many I want, and then go from there. So if I were to get Gomes, say in our league, I'd be willing to pay $8 for him. In this league, that would be 8 million. Submit. Then Maldonado's next. I'd be willing to pay $750 for him. In this league, that's 7.5 million. Submit. John Hicks probably isn't gonna make the team, so I'll skip him. Castro, I'll be willing to give him $6 in our league, 6 million in this one. That's 3 catchers. Diaz looks like he's a minor leaguer. This green flag means that they're on the minor league roster right now. They're not on the 26-man roster this year, and the green flag means that they're eligible to be put in your minor. Actually, this green M, it's a white M in a green circle, means that they're eligible to be put in the minors. So the players that are eligible to be put in the minors in our league are one of two things. Either they really are in the minors in real life, or they still qualify as a rookie this year. So if you start the year qualifying as a rookie, like you're in the running for a rookie of the year, it's because you have, I forget what the numbers are. I think it's 130 at bats or 50 innings pitched. I'll double check on that. But if they start the year qualifying as a rookie, then they're minors eligible this entire season. So either one of the two, either they're really in the minor leagues, or they're a rookie by virtue of not having the at bats or innings pitched at the start of the year. So those players can be put in your minor leagues, and they do not count towards your 40-man roster. They do not count towards your salary cap, and you can keep them there as long as you want. If they lose their minors eligibility status going into next year, so at the end of the year, if they're not in the minors in real life, or if they're not a rookie anymore, then they'll lose this M, this minors eligible M. Anyone you keep on your minor league roster that doesn't have this M will qualify for the Rule 5 draft, and that's just a way to prevent player hoarding. If they don't have minors eligibility and someone else wants to use them on their 26-man roster, then they can take them in the Rule 5 draft. Obviously, they don't have minors eligibility anymore, so they'll be forced to keep them up on their 26-man roster. Unless things change in real life and they get sent back to the minors, then they'll qualify again with the green flag. Anyway, forging on. Let's keep building this catcher list. 56 cents from here on off. Let's go. So in this league, that's $560,000. Oh, shit. In this league, the minimum is 1 million. If this was our league, you could be putting 56 cents in here, but this league has a minimum, so. Where are we? Willens. Avila. Okay, so on and so forth. So let's say 3. Okay, so let's say I made a list of 10 catchers. I don't know where we're at now, but go to pending transactions, and you'll see all these catchers here. Right now they're all in group 2, but I want to separate them out into their own group. I'm going to put Kipnis in group 4, just match it up with its baseball scoring position just to keep me straight here. My starting pitchers, I'll call them group 1. And catchers will be group 2. So I got them in order. This doesn't have to be in descending bid value either. Like I bid $8 on Golems and $7.50 on Maldonado, 6 on that, but you don't have to go in declining order. You could say, well, if I can get Castro for $4, I'll try that. Failing that, I'll bid $8 on Golems, so on down there. So all my catchers are in group 2. I only did 7 of them, but whatever. You can keep going. Again, up here for group 2, I only want 2 catchers. And that other group that had starting pitchers, I changed to group 1, and I only wanted 1 starting pitcher, so I'll put group 1 and max 1 there. So what's going to try and do is give me 1 player from group 1. It's going to try and get me 2 players from group 2. And it'll go in this order. Another thing to be aware of is the computer will not try your group 1 first, and then your group 2 second, and then your group 3 third. Just because they're in that order on your screen, on your team, doesn't mean that that's what order they are on someone else's screen. So be aware that it could be trying to get you Tommy Milone first. Well, it kind of works simultaneously. Like if other people have a bid in on Tommy Milone, it doesn't care that you have something up here first. If you have Tommy Milone and someone else has a bid, let's say our Tommy Milone was for $2 million. If someone else has a bid for Tommy Milone for $1.5 million, it doesn't care that you have him in group 3 and the other guy has him in group 1. It's just like when it comes time to deal with Tommy Milone, what do you bid? And whether you've got him in group 1 or group 17, it doesn't matter. When it comes time to award Tommy Milone, it's just going to look for him on your screen here and see what's up. It gets tricky because here's another thing you can do. Okay, so I have Tommy Milone in group 3 as $2 million. Something I can do here is I'm going to go back to the player screen. And just find Milone. So I already have him down there for $2 million. I can put him in again. You just always have to do your highest bid first. You can put more in on the same guy. So I have a $2 million bid in for Tommy Milone. And I can put another one in for $1 million. No, it doesn't make sense. Okay, I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to put another one in for $1 million. When you put in a second one, it won't let you do one higher. It'll let you do one lower, but I'll change it on the other screen. Okay, so now I have 2 in for Tommy Milone. I'll show you why you might do that. So back to pending transactions. You see Tommy Malone's in group. I put him at the end of group 2 for some reason. but we want them in group 1. Right, that's our starting pitcher group. So what I want to do here is if I had a bunch of pitchers in here and I got this group set for give me one player, Tommy Malone's at the bottom of it, which means this in group 1 it'll only get to his name if I don't get these 3. Now if I haven't got these 3, maybe I'm getting a little more desperate, so here I might put $8 or 8 million in our league. So now that I have them 2 places on the screen, what I'm trying to get at is, say Tommy Malone's name comes up, it's his turn to get awarded to a team. This bid is in here on its own for $2 million, and if that works, if it accepts that as the highest bid, then I'll get Tommy Malone for $2 million. Let's say someone else on another owner has Tommy Malone on their screen for $4 million. I still might get him because I have him in a second spot here for $8 million, but it will only bid $8 million or $8 in our league on Tommy Malone if I don't get these 3 first. So if that failed and that failed and that failed, now we're down to Tommy Malone for $8. That bid won't go in unless all these other things fail. If I fail to get Senzatella, Stratton, or Adon, for these prices, it'll get down to Tommy Malone. Now that said, over here, there's already a bid for $2 million, so that one should kick in first. It shouldn't, like if $2 million beats all the other teams, then that'll go in. If $2 million isn't the winning bid, and I don't get my first three choices over here, then it'll try and get me Tommy Malone for $8. That'll be kind of a last resort. Like I'm getting desperate because I didn't get any other pitchers I was after, that kind of deal. So it's important to note that just because you have groups in order on your screen, it doesn't go down the list on your screen in exact order. It might work down there first and then go up there, just depending on how the computer tries to get all these players divided up. It's able to figure out all this jazz that you've got set up here. If you want, you can, I'm going to, again, look down here, and it looks like I'm the highest bidder on all these things. This is a screen that all teams will be able to see, so you'll be able to see that I'm bidding $8 on Gomes, 4 on Castro, 7.5 on Maldonado. Now let's say you want a Castro, but you don't want to pay $4 for him. Still put in your bid, because as you can see, I might not ever make this bid of $4 million or $4 to Castro, because on my list I might have him down here, right? And I'm only asking for 2 catchers in group 2 right there. So I might get Gomes and Maldonado, and this bid for Castro might never actually get processed. So even though down here it says I look like the high bidder for Castro, I might not actually ever put that bid in. So keep your bids in, and if you want a guy, put in your price on the player screen and on your pending transactions. Just put in your price. You never know, it might get to you. Put in what you're willing to pay and see if it pans out. If you want a Castro but we're only willing to pay $2, it still might be a winning bid, even though it doesn't show up down here as you being a high bidder. $2 might end up being a high bid because up here he's way down my list, so I might get 2 catchers before I even put that bid in. Hopefully that makes sense. Let me just delete all of this stuff and see if I can show you one other way you might set this up. So I'm going to delete all these. That should have wiped that out. Let me try and refresh the screen. Okay, so now all my bids are wiped out. Another way you might set it up is, okay, I need 4 pictures. So I'm going to go to player screen. Just filter out the pictures. And use projected stats for this one. Alright. I need 4 pictures and I have, let's say, $20 to spend. So in my mind, I'm willing to spend $10 on one picture, $5 on the second picture, $3 and $2 on pictures number 3 and 4. So what I could do is, if I decide that Stratton is my primary goal, and like I said, I'm willing to spend $10 on one picture. Let's call him starter number 1. Put in the 10 million on this program, but in this league, but it'll be $10 an hours. Okay, so Stratton, Senzatella. Let's go Carl Edwards. Please don't pay $10 for Carl Edwards. This is just an example. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so what I say, we want 4 pitchers, willing to pay 10, 5, 3, and 2. Okay, so let's pick another one, Simber. 10. Okay, so let's go to pending transaction screen, just see what that looks like. So I have 4 pictures I'm aiming for. Stratton, Senzatella, Edwards, and Simber. And this is, in our league, this would say $10. So now, what I want to do is go back to the player's screen, filter by pitchers again, and do the same guys, but I'm going to do $5 this time. So $5 million in this league. Stratton, Senzatella, Carl Edwards, Simber, and then one more, you'll get the hint. So let's go Stratton again, and this time at $3. $3 million in this league. Senzatella, $3. This is the way you'll get the free agents during the year as well. Obviously, you won't need them in the numbers that you'll need them right now. That's just why this conditional thing is probably a little more important at the start of the year than it will be throughout the year, but you can still use it anytime you want. Carl Edwards at 3, Simber at 3. Okay, now I could, like I said, I want the 4th pitcher for $2. Just pretend I actually, if you're going for the same 4 pitchers, you don't really need to to do them all every time. You can take the top one off each time because you either get them or you don't for that high dollar. Um, then let's go Simber. Well, I don't know. Maybe you should put them in at all dollars because it may take your $2 bid ahead of your $10 bid. I don't know. It shouldn't, but I don't know how the computer works, so maybe it will. Also, I got it set up to not allow any transaction that would put you over your salary cap. So if you're not crazy about doing all this high-end math and keeping track of how much left you have to spend and whether you went over or not, just know that it will not allow you to do any transaction that puts you over your salary cap. So if you did type something in that doesn't add up, it's okay. It won't force you into bankruptcy. It'll just prevent that transaction from happening. Okay, so go to transactions, pending transactions again, and you should see those players listed over and over again. Okay, so that's the $10 bid, the $5 bid, and the $3 bid, and the $2 bid. So I just want to group them. I'll group the 10 million guys in group 1, and the $5 million bids in group 2. And again, I can't say for sure that it's going to go in order: group 1, group 2, group 3. It may end up, well, let me finish this first. So I'm going to put all my $5 million bids into group 2. See how I did that? And I'm going to put my $3 million bids into group 3. And then leave this $2 million bid on its own in group 4. Okay, so now I have group 4, these 4 guys in group 1 for 10 million. Same 4 guys in group 2 for 5 million. Same 4 guys in group 3 for 3 million. And then I just did the last guy on his own for 2 million. Important to remember, you want to say I only want one guy from each of these groups. Even though it's the same people, what you want to tell the computer is once I get one person from this group, once I pay 10 million for one of these guys, stop putting out $10 million bids. So give me the highest guy I can get that'll cost me 10 million, and then group 1 is done. Then go to group 2 and give me the highest guy I can for 5 million. If I get one, stop going down the group 2 list. And then in group 3, I'm going to try and get these guys for 3 million. Once I'm successful at getting one of them, say I get Carl Edwards for 3 million, then don't put in the $3 million bid for Simber. And then lastly, try and get Simber for 2 million or $2 in our league. So you can set that up too. Take some time. Although I don't know. I know for sure that it doesn't automatically go in your order that you have it. So it won't automatically try group 1 first, group 2 second, group 3 third. If you have a bunch of different positions. So let's say your group 1 is starting pitchers, your group 2 is catchers, your group 3 is first baseman, your group 4 is second baseman. Don't think just because you have them on your screen in that order that it's going to do your pitchers first, your catcher second, your first baseman's third. It's just going to go in some random order just to figure everything out, just sort of simultaneously. What you're doing with these groups is saying, I'm willing to pay 10 million for a pitcher, but I'm not willing to pay 10 million for 2 pitchers. So give me the highest one on this list that I can get, and then stop with this list. So if you give me Stratton for $10, then don't put in the rest of the bids. Hopefully that makes sense. If you have more questions on this sort of thing, give me a shout. And again, when you go to the pending transactions screen, you're going to see the stuff you've worked on here. No one else is going to be able to see this, but they are going to be able to see this part here from high bids down. So it looks like I'm bidding $10 million, or in our league $10 on all four of these guys. We know that that's not true. So even if you came to the screen and you saw that I have a $10 million bid in on Carl Edwards, you think he's only worth $1 million, still put that bid in. Put that bid in for $1 million, because I may never get to the point where that bid goes in, right? You might, or if you put in a bid for Carl Edwards for $4 million, I could get Chris Stratton for 10, and then Group 1 would be done. Then I would get Senzatella for 5, and that group would be done. Now my actual bid on Edwards would be $3 million tops. So even though down here it looks like it's $10 million, because of the conditions I've put up here, the $10 million bid for Edwards will never go in. At best, I'll be submitting $3 million for Edwards. So if you were to take off your $4 million bid just because you saw I had $10 million, you would lose. You would lose out when you wouldn't have to. Just leave your $4 million bid in there if that's what you're willing to pay, and you never know, you might get them. Okay, if you have questions, just ask. Never forget to hit submit, or else you'll lose all your work. And that's it. Okay, bye.